Hello everyone, it's Kristen Redman, Astrological Intuitive, and today we're going to be talking about what 2022 has in store for us out there in the skies. And what a year of growth and change and positive energy we have ahead of us. I tell you what, we have had a lot of difficulty over the past couple of years on an astrological scale. I mean, there were so many transits that were happening for the year of 2020 that I had like 2 pages written in my book full. And I thought, what in the world does this year have in store for us? Because it was one after the next. And then last year we had a very, very difficult series of Saturn Uranus squares that are reinventing the foundations that are under our feet on personal levels, global levels, government levels, all these things. And it created so much discomfort. And so what's wonderful is that the universe is set in front of us this year. Only 3 major planetary transits that are happening, and they're all happening with the sign of Jupiter. Jupiter, which rules the sign of Sagittarius. So this is big for you, Sagittarian folks. Jupiter is the planet of luck and opportunity, expansion, community, happiness, joy. And it's making all these wonderful connections this year that happened in the first half of the year between February and May. And with these connections, I know that it's bringing through some healing that we need and reconnection of the communities that we surround ourselves with. Because the more that we can work together, the better it can heal everything. And it's just a beautiful year. So I think where we'll start out, I'll talk more about the Jupiter stuff in a little bit here, but I think where we're going to start with is the eclipse cycles. Now, what we leave off on is the eclipse cycles from 2021 that dealt in the area of Gemini and Sagittarius. Now, those are our communication houses in astrology, and so it represents our higher mind. That's what Sagittarius is. Our connection with our higher self and what is coming through, and Gemini, which deals with communicating those things to other people, the people that we surround ourselves as well too. So last year truly was about seeking the truth and speaking the truth, because our higher mind is always linked into the truth of a situation, the honesty of a situation. So that's why Sagittarius represents the quest for finding honesty and truth. So that was what last year was about, seeking the truth and speaking our truth, right? But now we move into this eclipse cycle, which I totally forgot to mention, but now I'm going to. Eclipses are why they're so important, and why I'm starting this out with that is because in the world of astrology, eclipses represent where something has to go in order for some new energy to come through. And they work in 10-year intervals, so it's not like it happens in the same sign every year. And when we astrologers look at somebody's chart to let them know what the upcoming year has in store, we look to see where those eclipses are hitting their chart and what houses, because that tells me there's going to be some major changes here. Not only is some old, outdated, stagnated energy getting out of there, some new energy is coming in its place to bring the new beginnings that this person has been waiting for. So for all of us, this year we are dealing with the Taurus and Scorpio eclipses. Now what that has to represent is Taurus, which is what we value, how much we value ourselves, what our personal beliefs are, and what we believe that we're worthy of. And love and money fall into that as well too. But over here we have Scorpio, and Scorpio deals with what we have to let go and surrender in order for us to get what we're worthy of. So it's a lot of reassessment of what we truly do value, and that's amplified by the fact that we're starting this new year out with Venus, the planet that rules Taurus, but it has to deal with love, money, everything we hold of value. Venus is retrograde at the beginning of this year. So it's interesting every year when I see these planets that start the year out retrograde, because it does set a tone for it. Venus retrogrades every 2 years. So to start the year out on it, and especially in the sign of Capricorn, which is very practical, it definitely has us looking to the past retro, about how we operate in love, in money, and what we value now. I think a lot of us have been under quite a reassessment period over the past couple of years of what we really do value and how that's subject to change. That's amplified by the fact that Uranus is also moving through Taurus in an 80-year cycle where it hasn't been since the Great Depression. And when it goes through, it makes impact on a few different areas of our life, but especially on our values, what we value most. So people are finding that maybe before they valued, having a retirement and a pension, but everything that's happened now, let's say that same person is understanding that they value the time with their family more, and they value having more independence and want to find a different job that can support that because now their value system is radically different. Starting this new year out on that has our mind already thinking of that. And then these eclipses follow through to say, what do we need to release, Scorpio? What do we need to release in order for us to get to what we truly value now? It has us looking at what we tolerate in our life that we're deserving more of as well, but we'll tolerate less. And now Scorpio is saying, but that doesn't work. That doesn't work anymore. We got to let that go. And so these eclipse dates are going to be really important for all of us. So pay attention to what's happening in the couple weeks leading up to and the couple weeks after these dates, because the universe is going to be almost like sending you a direct message saying, this isn't in your highest and best, and this is what has to change. Or these are old, outdated belief systems inside of you that don't work anymore, that are keeping you limited, and they need to be released. So April 30th, May 16th, October 25th, and November 8th. Now, it's going to look different for everybody. But there's going to be a flavor of it in there that's saying, I don't deserve this, I deserve better. Or in astrology, it's black or white, right? So it could be the other way around. Maybe you're expecting too much of others and it has to be released. Those outdated beliefs of trying to have that control to make it work as well. Because Scorpio definitely on its shadow side will deal with power and control struggles. So I know that will be the case for people this year as well. Seeing that come to light and knowing that you're not deserving of that. But because these eclipses also deal with love and money, I know there are going to be major shifts in terms of that for people as well too, as long as you're willing to see that, especially in these eclipse cycles. There can be some major shift that's happening as a result. So yes, not only that, we know what we need to let go of, and the more that we let go of, the more that is truly fitting for us can come in its place and move us and push us and expand us beyond where we're limited. And that's where we're going to go back to those Jupiter transits that I was talking about earlier. Jupiter is an amazing planet. It is so darn big that you can fit 100 of our, not even 1,000 of our Earths inside of it, and they still wouldn't all fit. It's so gigantic. And so in astrology, it takes on that same meaning of this big, generous, amazing planet that bestows lucky breaks, lucky opportunities, growth, and advancement and expansion in our lives. Whenever it touches anything in our chart, it's huge. But for all of us this year, those are the only planetary influences, like I said, which is actually very rare in the first place to only have one planet making all these things. It's huge. Now, the first of them is going to be the Jupiter sextile Uranus aspect that happens on February 17th. This is big. This is huge. Uranus is the planet of unexpected things, right? And it has been doing a doozy on us in so many ways. I tell you what, Uranus moved into Taurus in 2018, and it really settled in there just before the pandemic hit in 2020. And it's there until 2025. Now, Uranus brings unexpected things, and as it's in Taurus, Taurus represents health, healthcare, finances, so the economy falls into that. Weather falls into that as well. And of course, like I said, on more of a personal level, right? Love, money, and the things that we hold of value. You can see where unexpected events happen in the world of health and in the world of economy. But it makes major shifts, right? The last time this happened, like I said, was when Uranus toured Taurus back at the time of the Great Depression, and look at what dramatic changes it did then. It's changing the way our world works. It's changing the foundations under our feet, and it brought some uncomfortable things as a result, because massive shift like this is never easy, is it? No, of course it's not. But now Uranus is doing some new things, okay? It's making this connection with Jupiter, which is a once every 12-year connection. And when it does that, it's saying, yes, there may be some unpredictable things that have happened, but there's also good things that can come unexpectedly as well, too, that bring us blessings. And that's exactly what this type of energy has to do about moving us forward when Jupiter makes that connection with Uranus February 17th. Then Jupiter aligns with Neptune, which happens once every 12 years as well, too. And this is big on a lot of different ways. Jupiter moving through Pisces in general. Last time it was there was in 2010. And Jupiter in Pisces is technically its home base. So it's happy when it's there. Jupiter loves for us to have faith in the darkness and manifest things based on our faith and hope alone. Neptune, which rules Pisces, so it's the same idea, is a sign of manifesting. It's a sign of believing in the darkness as well, too. So they work in tandem together. Now, when you have that ruling planet Jupiter aligning with the ruling planet Neptune, the two ruling planets for Pisces, where this is all happening, amazing things can happen. On a large scale, I see it being more of a movement for mind, body, spirit, metaphysical connections, connecting with our own spiritual power, understanding what the divine means to each one of us. And as we do that, and as we move forward into this year of understanding, this is an amazing opportunity for us to grow and change and make things happen together. With that, also, Neptune can also bring a little bit of fog and confusion. So this is extremely important for manifesting, and it's going to be at its absolute height on April 13th, because that's when the two of these forces align. And it can take on a couple of different meanings, right? So you can have, obviously, a very huge, prosperous period to put your seeds of manifestation out there. And as long as you're trusting and believing that you're deserving, right? Because that's the caveat here. You have to know that you're deserving and you're worthy of it. And that will come through for you. When you do that and you move forward, that's when Neptune can bring these unexpected blessings into your life. I mean, it's just an absolute wonderful thing. Now, on the shadow side, though, you got to be careful, because Neptune, on its shadow side, can be a little bit deceptive, and it can put fog in our way, so we don't necessarily see things clearly. So if in a situation like that, where Jupiter is pushing you to do something in the way that it does, because it certainly likes to do that, if it's pushing you to do something and you're not quite certain, you have to trust your intuition. Don't respond on emotional reactivity. So when I say that, don't make some major shift and change and quit your job because you're like, oh, I hate them and they suck and whatever. And they do something like, just step back for a minute and see if it's really, truly real, and if it's what your higher self is telling you to do. Because the fog and confusion can roll in. So just be a little cautious of that. But other than that, it's a wonderful time to get in connection with your spirit and find the power of manifesting that we all truly contain inside of us. Then the last impact that Jupiter is going to have is on May 3rd, and that's when Jupiter makes a really good connection with Pluto. Keep in mind, every single one of these connections are positive. These aren't negative connections like we've been dealing with year after year here in recent years. This is a positive connection with the most positive and beneficial planet of them all, making a connection to the planet of transformation, which is Pluto. Now, Pluto asks us to surrender things that don't work for us anymore. And Jupiter is pushing us to see that, right? It's pushing us outside of our comfort zones and our limits. And when this happens, transformation on deep levels can happen, and it propels us forward into an area that is more fitting for who and what we are now. Super positive energy in that. Now, let's look at the next things, right? I mean, this is overall in general. I mean, 2022 is a year in numerology that's known as a 6 year. This is a year of harmony. This is bringing us together. And that's exactly what Jupiter wants to do. It wants to unite us as a community, not separating us all and having us focus on ourselves in the ways that Uranus has been working in these hard aspects over the past couple of years to have us more focused internally. This is about connecting with others, other like-minded people. And if you find that you're in these situations, and I found this time and time again when I was doing these readings for each one of the signs, that there's a lot of purging of groups that don't work for you anymore, friendships that you've outgrown, people that the belief systems don't align with where you are now, and that's okay. There's a reason why this is all happening in the way that it is. I mean, that's absolutely fine. So with it being a 6 year, this is getting us to greater happiness, greater harmony, and better relationships that are fitting for where we are now. It's about communicating it though, right? And I think last year was a big year for understanding the power of our words and our thoughts and what that happens, you know, and how that manifests in our lives. And the planet that rules communication is Mercury. And so this year it's going to be retrograding 3 times, which usually Mercury retrogrades 3 times, 4 times, depends on the year, throughout the year. And so this year, when Mercury retrograde happens, it kind of slows the wheels of progress down for a few weeks. It's a notorious time for miscommunications because Mercury rules communication. It rules progress and speed of things that happen. So flights get delayed, emails don't send, phone calls don't go through, letters get lost in the mail, all those kinds of things. Miscommunications happen with people, so you just have to be a little bit more cautious. It doesn't mean you can't do these things. You just got to be more cautious when it happens, right? This year, where all of the retrogrades are happening, are in air signs, every single one of them. And air also deals with communication. Remember, last year was the year of seeking the truth and speaking the truth. This is the year where we have greater clarity on what that means. And I think through each one of these retrograde periods, we're going to have to revisit how we're communicating with other peoples with the understanding of what we gained in 2021. So the retrograde periods are going to be happening January 14th through February 3rd is the first, May 10th through June 3rd, and then again September 9th through October 2nd. So those are going to be the retrograde periods this year, for sure. Now, let's move on to Venus. Venus, like I was saying earlier, when it's in Capricorn and starting out the year like it is in this retrograde phase, all of us looking to the past for where our heart is at and where our money is going, basically, right? And it's asking us to take the rose-colored glasses off, because that's what Capricorn's about. It's about logical, hard facts. And so we're looking to that right now, how these things operate and how we can structure it better moving forward. So the Venus retrograde happens December 19th of 21, and it goes until January 29th of 2022. What's interesting to me is that the same day that it goes out of its retrograde and goes direct, which means it just starts moving forward again. When it goes retrograde, basically just stops. It doesn't go backwards, it stops. And then it'll start moving forward again on January 29th. So the day it goes direct, it's actually aligned with this asteroid out there in the universe called Chiron. And it represents our life's greatest wound. It's known as the wounded healer. And through these difficult experiences we go through, that's where the major growth happens. And I think that's very, very fitting that the day that Venus goes retrograde, starting this new year out, kind of drudging up all these old ways that we relate to love and money, and how we recognize those systems are outdated and we need to change them. We kind of are hit and faced with the pain of it. And I think in that time frame, that's okay, because I think we're ready to grieve that, heal that and move past that. And as a result, then we can really move forward with the rest of the year with a greater clarity of what we need, what we want, and how we're going to get that, how we're going to do that. Another planet that's going to retrograde this year is Mars. Mars is the planet of action and movement. And so it's a notorious time when the planet of movement, the engine that drives us, when it goes retrograde every couple of years, kind of slows the wheels of progress down. And that's going to happen at the end of the year. That happens October 30th until January 12th of 23. And that's going to be happening in the sign of Gemini, which deals with communication again. So I think there's going to be a lot of that focus again this year about having to communicate our needs effectively. But we're starting it out really with a greater understanding and clarity over that. So it all kind of, works together well. But when Mars retrogrades, the north node in the sky is going to be aligned with that, and that's our soul's purpose and our life's purpose. So where it may seem like things are slowing down at the end of the year, it's actually to get us ready to catapult into 2023, which is going to be an amazing year in itself, which obviously is another video in itself right there. But that's a wonderful thing as well too. That's going to affect our Aries friends the most, okay, because Mars is your ruling planet. So you might feel like your engine stalls out at the end of the year, but then again, the rest of us are going to feel pretty too, because it does. It just makes us want to introspect and go within in that time frame. Saturn is going to continue its tour of Aquarius. This is the last year. It started at the end of 2020, and Saturn moves in these 30-year cycles. And as it does that, it grows and matures us in new ways. And when Saturn has been moving through Aquarius, it has been, okay, where do I want to start? Okay, so Saturn is basically the rules and the structures that are under our feet. And when it moves into the sign of Aquarius, that's a very free-thinking, liberated, freedom-seeking sign, okay? It does not like rules and restrictions that Saturn puts in place. And so when the two of them align like that, it says, your outdated rules are stupid and I don't like them anymore. And we need new ones to take its place. The past 30 years it's worked okay, but this system is literally crumbling and falling apart. And that also works in tandem with Pluto going through Capricorn, which has started from 2008 and it finally ends next year. That's been huge for regenerating the entire systems around us of government. Really all the foundations under our feet from a personal level all the way up on a global scale have been going through this transformation process because of Pluto going through Capricorn. So it works with Saturn going through now saying old outdated systems don't work, Pluto and Capricorn. Let's make some new ones. Saturn going through Aquarius. Let's make new ones that do fit. So we're creating new boundaries on a personal level, right? We're gaining greater clarity on the boundaries and the rules that we need and what we want to see for the new foundations under our feet. That's going to continue through the remainder of the year with that. So yeah, those are the major ones that are happening this year. The only other thing is that we have some super new moons that are pretty cool. And some super full moons, a couple of each. Really, I mean, that's about it. And I'm happy about it. I tell you what, I'm kind of tired of having 700 million aspects to go over. And the way that I'm looking at it is it's like, let's just enjoy the good that Jupiter is going to bring us this year in 2022, because we've all worked hard to earn it. And all we have to do is have that faith that we deserve it, right? So pay attention to those eclipse cycles, see what the year has in store for you. If you want to know what your specific chart has in store for you, there's a link below. You can click on that and connect with me to do a reading by phone, by FaceTime, Zoom, whatever works, right? And we can get you clarity on what the year has in store specifically for you. But everybody, thank you so much for watching and have a blessed year.